proving that no outrage is too small. The woke crowd's latest victim is none other than Hollywood A-lister Sidney Sweeney. Her crime? She did a jeans ad.
Sidney Sweeney has great jeans.
You see what I did there, right?
Now the ad works because it's an obvious play on the words jeans and jeans. And this is what has set the wokies off. You see, you cannot suggest that a white girl has good genes in the current year without being called a racist. It's a form of bad argument which I call the 6 degrees of separation fallacy. 6 degrees of separation is the concept that just about everything and everyone is more interrelated than you might think. Here's a picture of yours truly shaking hands with President Bill Clinton. Here's Bill Clinton shaking hands with Vladimir Putin. Therefore, yours truly is only 2 degrees of separation from the dictator of Russia. The 6 degrees of separation fallacy is to abuse this fact in an attempt to portray someone as guilty by association, even if they never actually associated with the guilty parties. And that's what they've done to Sidney Sweeney. Now, since the woke crowd can be a little slow, let me break this down. This sentence is not racist. Sidney Sweeney has great genes. This sentence is also not racist. Sidney Sweeney has great genes. This sentence, however, would be racist. Sidney Sweeney has great genes because she is white and not black. Note that it is the highlighted part that makes the statement racist. Without the highlighted part, the statement is not racist. The 6 degrees of separation fallacy is a form of ad hominem or personal attack, guilt by association. Now, Sweeney, being a Hollywood A-lister, got the nice version of this attack. The nice version is, don't you think someone could have misinterpreted what you said?
Maybe specifically in this political climate, like, white people shouldn't joke about genetic superiority.
By asking the question like this, the interviewer was giving Sweeney an opportunity to disavow those nasty racists who might have confused these two statements. To her credit, Sweeney doesn't take the bait.
I think that when I have an issue that I want to speak about, people will hear.
Because once you apologize, you essentially validate the assault. Yes, I inadvertently gave the racist something to cheer about, and I'm so sorry about that. Now, the purpose of the attack on Sweeney was twofold. First, it was to reinforce the one true faith. Everyone knows that all Hollywood A-listers support the one true faith of wokeism. Sweeney is accused of heresy against wokeism and given an opportunity to reaffirm her allegiance to the one true faith, lest she be burned at the stake of cancel culture. In this way, wokeism, like any medieval religion, reinforces its power structure by publicly punishing the heretic. This motive is given away by an earlier question.
The president tweeted about the jeans ad, or Truth Socialed about the jeans ad, and I would probably feel like thankful that somebody had my back in public.
This question was pure bait. As every good woke Hollywood type knows, Trump is literally Hitler, the devil incarnate to the woke religion. To express any kind of gratitude towards Trump for defending her would have confirmed that Sweeney was a heretic, in league with the devil himself. And to her credit, Sweeney doesn't take the bait.
I wasn't thinking of it like that.
Post-production UMW here. Sadly, Sweeney has since been forced to recant, and you can't blame her. She's a young woman working in a very small industry controlled by psychopaths. But her confession, such as it was, perfectly illustrates the fallacy. Literally no one misinterpreted a jeans commercial as being pro-white supremacy. But that's not the purpose of an inquisition. The Inquisition knows that you are guilty as soon as you are accused. The whole purpose is to extract the confession to reinforce the belief system. By confessing, Sweeney has now reaffirmed the core woke belief that white supremacy is so fundamental to American culture that any suggestion that a white person has some good trait is fuel for the white supremacist fire. Therefore, Hollywood is perfectly justified in continuing to produce woke slop regardless of the consequences. The other motive is simply that the woke crowd hasn't talked about itself for 5 minutes, and this is intolerable. In this sense, the fallacy is used as an attempt to steal the limelight from Sweeney and American Eagle. Oh, you want to talk about a pretty girl in some flattering clothes? Well, instead, let's talk about racism for the 87th time this week. But yours truly, being immune to wokeism, has not been deceived. The point of the American Eagle ad is that Sidney Sweeney does, in fact, have great genes. Phenomenal genes. My God, just look at those genes. The 6 degrees of separation fallacy is not limited to Hollywood A-listers in tight-fitting clothing. You'll often encounter the less nice version of this argument in politics in the form of the dog whistle. Unlike Sweeney, where the suggestion was that someone might have misinterpreted what she said, the dog whistle is the argument that you deliberately intended to associate yourself with the bad people, but had to speak in a code so top secret, only the most elite of intellectuals can decipher it. To see an example of this, you only need to turn on MSNBC anytime they're talking about the bad orange man. For instance, in this clip, after talking about David Duke, an actual neo-Nazi who ran for various political offices in Louisiana in the 1980s and 1990s, both as a Democrat and a Republican, by the way, MSNBC then accuses Trump of going after the same white voters.
And with Donald Trump really winking and nodding at this kind of hatred, really.
Clearly, by attempting to appeal to white voters 2 decades later, Trump is secretly signaling that he is a neo-Nazi just like David Duke. 100% proof that the orange man is indeed racist and a Nazi and very, very bad. Or take this example. Here the bad orange man complained about possible election fraud in several blue cities. But, gasp, did you know that these large cities have large black populations? Clearly, this is a dog whistle that all black voters should be disenfranchised.
But the places he was targeting, the racist dog whistle was Philadelphia, Atlanta, Detroit, Milwaukee.
Obviously, the orange man is very, very bad. But it's not just the woke left that employs this tactic. Remember the outrage when Greta Thunberg posted a stuffed octopus? You see, everyone's first thought when they saw this was to remember this political cartoon from 1894, which portrayed the Rothschilds, a wealthy Jewish banking family, as an octopus with their tentacles and everything. So clearly, what Greta meant was to dog whistle that she hated all Jews. Greta Thunberg is also literally Hitler. Now, if you think about this argument for 5 seconds, it's entirely absurd.
People don't know what that means.
Take your top off.
No one knows what that means. It's in America.
Literally no one in America in the current year thinks of a political cartoon from 1894 when they see an octopus. Moreover, if you actually study the history of that particular meme, you'll find that it was a common meme to describe powerful people, or nations, or institutions, such as this picture featuring the American company Standard Oil as an octopus. So why make such an absurd accusation? Like all ad hominem attacks, it is an attempt to deflect from the real issue. Greta, at the time, was protesting the Gaza genocide. Don't look over here. Don't look at what Israel is doing with American tax monies. Look over here at the stuffed octopus. Why, it proves that Greta is an anti-Semite. Indeed, the only reason anyone could possibly object to blowing up little Palestinian babies with American smart bombs is because of anti-Semitism. The reason why the 6 degrees of separation fallacy is so common in politics is because politics makes strange bedfellows. Every issue at some point gets distilled into a proposed new law, and you are either for or against that new law. Take the issue of gun control. On the anti-gun side are soccer moms from New York who think it will reduce crime, and brutal dictators like Stalin who don't want the people to overthrow them. And on the pro-gun side are Jesus in America. This doesn't mean that every soccer frau from Long Island is secretly a Stalinist. It's probably only like 50%. Same with elections in Louisiana. The state is 62% white. Every politician is going to try to appeal to such a large segment of the population. And of course, you can object to a genocide without being an anti-Semite. So when you see someone employing the 6 degrees of separation fallacy, realize that they're trying to deceive you by talking about something other than the issue at hand.